When I opened the door that morning, the world outside seemed caught between silence and snow. And there he was. Liam, camera slung around his neck, his breath curling in the cold air. The moment his eyes met mine through the lens, something subtle but deep shifted inside me. Something I hadn't felt in years. I'm Elena, 42 years old. A woman who once believed her most vivid days had come and gone. That life after heartbreak was just a long stretch of quiet survival. But that winter morning would remind me that even dormant hearts can wake again. The storm had wrapped our little Vermont town in soft white stillness. I stood by the window earlier, a mug of chamomile tea warming my palms, watching flakes drift down like unhurried thoughts. My son, Noah, had left for college a few months before, and though I tried to fill the silence with books and baking and long walks, the house still felt like an echo of the life we once shared. Since the divorce, everything had dulled, even time itself. My ex-husband, Daniel, had been gone in spirit long before he left in body. What we called love had become a script we kept repeating without meaning the words. So I learned to stop expecting surprises. To stop waiting for color to return. Then Liam showed up at my doorstep, snow clinging to his coat, camera in hand, and a hopeful grin softening the winter air. "Morning, Mrs. Hart," he said, his voice both polite and warm. "I was passing by on my way to the lake. I'm working on a photography project. Portraits that show real, unfiltered emotion. I thought maybe you'd let me take a few of you." I laughed quietly, shaking my head. "Me? Liam, I'm hardly a muse. You'd get better material from your classmates." He smiled, that same shy grin I'd seen years ago when he and Noah used to raid my kitchen after soccer practice. But there was something steadier about him now, something almost disarming. "You'd be perfect," he said. "You've lived." That's what my camera wants to see. Something about the way he said it, gentle, certain, made me pause. Maybe it was the honesty in his tone, or the way his eyes didn't flinch from mine. Against my better judgment, I nodded. "All right, just a few. But don't make me look old," he chuckled. "Can't photograph what isn't there." We stepped outside, boots crunching softly over fresh snow. The frozen lake shimmered like glass beneath a pale sky. Liam adjusted his camera and motioned for me to stand near the birch trees. "Turn your head just a bit," he murmured. "Yeah, like that. Beautiful." Each click of the shutter seemed to echo through me, like distant thunder beneath calm water. His gaze was focused but soft, and every time our eyes met, I felt something unravel, the invisible thread I'd wrapped tight around my heart. When I laughed, he laughed too, and for a moment, I forgot everything that separated us. Years, titles, expectations. There was only that quiet space between us and the sound of snow settling on the world. Later, inside the house, he showed me the photos on his laptop. I wasn't prepared for what I saw. The woman in those pictures didn't look tired or lost. She didn't look like someone who'd been living on autopilot for years. She looked alive, luminous, even. There was a spark in her eyes I thought had gone out forever. "See that?" Liam said softly, pointing at the screen. "That's you, when you stop hiding." The words hit deeper than I wanted to admit. For so long, I'd hidden behind routine, behind motherhood, behind the safety of smallness. But somehow this boy, this young man, had seen right through all of it. The fire crackled in the living room, spreading a gentle glow across his face. The air felt warm and fragile, like the moment before a confession. "I'm proud of you, Liam," I said after a while. "You've really grown into your talent." He smiled faintly. "You were always kind to me. When my mom passed, you were the only one who came by. You probably don't remember, but that meant a lot." But I did remember. The hollow look in his 17-year-old eyes, the way he'd tried to hide grief behind silence. I'd brought him soup and sat with him while he pretended not to cry. I did it because it felt right. Never imagining the memory would return like this, warmer and heavier all at once. The room went quiet again, the fire murmuring between us. His gaze stayed steady, thoughtful. "Can I ask you something?" he said finally, Of course. Do you ever feel like your life hasn't started again yet? Like you're just waiting for something, or someone, to wake it up? The question stole my breath. I looked away, feeling the truth of it settle deep. Every day, I whispered. He studied me for a long moment. Then maybe it's time someone reminded you how to live again. The air shifted, suddenly charged, electric, delicate. My pulse stumbled. I rose quickly, searching for something to do, somewhere to look that wasn't his eyes. When I turned back, he was standing closer. Close enough that I could see the faint scar above his lip, the one from when he'd fallen off his skateboard years ago. Close enough that I could hear the tremor in my own breath. "Liam," I said quietly, "this isn't right." "I know," he murmured, "but it feels real." For a heartbeat, the world held still. The only sound was the whisper of snow against the window and the quiet, impossible rhythm of two hearts remembering what it meant to feel seen. I stepped back. "You should go." He hesitated, pain flickering behind his eyes, then nodded slowly. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cross a line." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Keep the photos," he said. "They show you the way I see you, not the way you've convinced yourself you are." When the door closed behind him, the silence was deafening. I sat by the fire long after the flames died, staring at the silver pendant he'd left behind on the coffee table, a small worn charm shaped like a compass. That night, I dreamed of snow melting beneath sunlight, of frozen things learning to move again. The next morning, he returned. I'd left the pendant on the counter, but a part of me knew I hadn't done that just for him. I wanted to see him again. One last time. When I opened the door, his eyes met mine. That same unspoken current passed between us, raw and unguarded. "I came for the necklace," he said quietly. Then, almost as an afterthought, "And to make sure you're okay?" "I'm fine," I said, though my voice trembled slightly. He nodded. "Good. You look lighter somehow." I smiled faintly. "Maybe that's because you reminded me something important." "What's that?" "That I'm still here," I said, "still capable of feeling." He didn't answer. He just smiled, a small, knowing smile, then turned to leave. As he walked away, the wind caught his scarf, and for a moment, he looked like a figure fading into the white horizon. I watched until he disappeared completely, and standing there, surrounded by the hush of winter, I understood something I never had before, that love doesn't always need to be touched to change you. Sometimes it only needs to be witnessed. Liam hadn't broken my heart. He had woken it, reminded me that beauty still existed inside me, waiting for someone, anyone, to notice. When I looked at those photographs later, I didn't see a woman defined by years of loneliness. I saw a woman rediscovering her reflection in the eyes of someone who dared to look closer. And that was enough, because not every story of love is meant to end in a kiss or a confession. Some simply end with the quiet realization that your heart still works, that it still beats for the possibility of warmth, even after all the winters it has survived.